What up, what up, what up? It's Julian, the voice, again with another Day Talk here on Trust the Plus, where the word and life come together to make sense. Had to pause for dramatic effect. Today we're going to turn around and get deep into a verse from Isaiah, right? And the verse says, and this is Isaiah 41:13. For I am the Lord your God, who takes hold of your right hand and says to you, do not fear, I will help you. That ends the reading of the words. I know, short and sweet, right? And so again, this conveys God's promise, right? To be with his people, offering strength and guidance through life's challenges. And Isaiah, if you know anything about him, needed a lot of strength and a lot of guidance, because Isaiah unfortunately came at a time period where everybody was just like, shut up, right? And when he was trying to turn around and tell everybody stuff, right? And when he was trying to turn around and convey the message of God's love to everybody, and he was having a hard time, right? Understanding the logistics of how God operates, how God moves, seeing the characters that he's seen every now and again, right? Much to Isaiah is a great read, because Isaiah relates to a lot of what believers now see today, right? Much of how God tells us to move, how God tells us to be, how Jesus tells us to be, how we're supposed to find around and be an example. And then we just see so much stuff that time and time again makes us think, like, what's it all for? Right? You know, God, are you really here? Right? But luckily God turns around and reassures us, and he reassures him like God always does, right? So again, this passage focuses first on God's presence, right? God is always with his people. This narrative that God disappears because something went wrong, something bad happened, death happens, right? You're not in the best of circumstances, all these different things, right? No, God didn't go anywhere. Right? Your life is supposed to be challenging. The world don't like people of God. The world didn't like Jesus. Jesus literally turned around and said a line and said they're going to hate you too. Right? And although that was directed at the disciples, insert name here. Right? You know, so the point of the difficulties is important, right? God moves us through those challenges as well too. It's not meant to kill you. Right? We're also born into a world of sin, right? The world naturally just wants to turn around and gravitate to bad things. So it's not always necessarily you did something wrong, God's trying to punish you. The world is just bad, right? Which is why God is always around, which is why God always turns around and guides us, which is why God always covers us, because God already understands this, right? It's 0 to 100 once we come out from the womb, right? Like even the womb, we're not saved, right? Like stuff, world can already attack us while we're getting ready to be born. Like as soon as we come out, right? You know, deformities, a lot of other deficiencies, right? Premature, like it doesn't even wait until we're a whole functional adult, right? It attacks us as an infant. You know, a passage also talks about God's strength, right? You know, a source of strength is what God can be, right? When we're facing these challenges, when we have to face our struggles, when we have to face these fears, when we have to face discomfort, right? But you gotta lean on God, right? You're not gonna feel any of that if you're not leaning on him, right? If you're second guessing it, how are you supposed to turn around and feel the power of that? Right? If you're like, God, I know you can help me overcome this. I want you to overcome this, right? I want you to help me overcome this, right? But then as soon as you say that, in the next 5 minutes, you're like, it's all over. We're doomed. Everything's terrible. Nothing's going to go my way, right? Like you contradicting the whole point, right? It's also about God's help. God will help us no matter how difficult the situation is, right? From cancer to something as simple as you cut your finger, right? God can, and always has the ability to help. Some things might get prolonged a little bit for you to turn around and understand certain things, and they lead to other stuff, right? Some things will be as quick as they came, right? But at all times, God will help, and we got to trust that. This passage also talks about God's protection, right? God protects his people. God protects his people. If he did not protect his people, Jesus wouldn't have died. We wouldn't have been saved. You and I wouldn't be sitting here talking right now, right? Like I don't think people understand how corrupt the world was before. Like, you think you're seeing stuff now? Imagine if the Holy Spirit was still not here, right? If we were still moving in Old Testament time, you know how many of us is dead? Like God put a lot of work in to protect his people, undeserving creation that at all times never fails to turn around and take for granted the thing God does on a constant basis. And God still protects us, right? Even from ourselves that we'd like to think highly of, but is mostly the one that's our biggest op. Yourself is your biggest op, right? We always want to think that it has our best interests at heart. No, it don't. The heart lies. The eyes lie. These gates lie, right? So without the Spirit guiding and driving them, they only lead you to destruction. And then God's provision, right? God will provide for a people. He's Jehovah Jireh, Jehovah Rapha, like all these different names that we turn around and call him, right? Provider, healer. God is, right? God is, and search your name to exactly what it is that you need from him. God can provide that, right? And we got to trust it. We got to trust it. Isaiah had to trust it, right? Instead of going against the curve and the grain and overthinking, just don't overthink it. Don't overthink this, right? Trust. What's the worst that can happen? Think of all the other things that you did trust that absolutely amounted to nothing, right? And now realize that God is consistent and has always been consistent even when you haven't been paying attention to him. So what's really, is it really a bad trade-off? No, it's not. It's not. I done trusted myself, I failed me. I done trusted in mentors, they failed me. I done trusted in family members, they failed me. I done trusted in teachers, they like insert a lot of things. It's failed me, right? God has not, right? God has not. But what about the time where God didn't fail you? You failed God. You didn't want to turn around and listen. You wanted to do your own thing. You didn't want to turn around and stay the course, right? You were impatient. You were under this expectation, right? Expectations, again, turn around and get us into trouble. But when you stopped, look where you're at now, right? Like, really look where you're at now. And that's not just for you. I don't say you as a context of just you. I say it as me as well, right? Look where we're at. Just trust, right? And so that's all I got for you today. And I'll catch you again on another Day Talk. And remember, no mess, no fuss. Always trust the plus. Peace out.